Live there, so I'm going to try to get us live over
Yes, we
here.
are.
All right, got it. All right. Well, how are you doing today?
I am good.
Awesome.
And
Tell me,
making some progress on stuff I needed to make some progress on. So that's all good.
excellent.
Yeah.
All right, then let's see. How do I invite you over here on Instagram?
Well, I should be able to, oh, there you are live.
Okay,
And
so
now
come
you
on
should,
over.
and I said I did that. And I just requested to join.
Oh, well, that's weird. I'm not seeing you on Zoom, so I guess I'm just going to watch you over here.
Oh, you know what? Um, did it somehow get off of gallery view or something?
I'm not sure. I'm looking at, I don't know. We'll change. All right, now I got you over here, a little teeny. But anyway, we'll figure out the. Oh, all right. Did I just lose you on Zoom?
No, I'm still here on Zoom.
Okay, now I got it. Okay, now I got you. All right, we always have to have a few minutes of discombobulation before we start just to get the freaking technology going. But I'm trying to get better at it. I don't know that we're getting any better at it, but I'm trying. How was
I
your
don't know, it
December?
feels like we got a little smoother
A
tonight.
little faster. I don't know if it was smoother, but it might have been a little bit faster. So tell me a little bit about your day.
Day was had a project I needed to work on and made some really good progress on it. So
Awesome.
that's ending the day with feeling like some good success there, and had a really good start to the day with a recap from the hybrid event that we had on uh, Wednesday. And so really good conversation there. And overall for the second one for that organization, the one on Wednesday was a huge step forward. And you know, there was still, it still had its challenges, and some of it you may never get away from. Some of the simple things like, you know, in the on her keyboard there was a place that uh, that is a button that turns a computer automatically into airplane mode.
Oh,
And so
jeez.
if you accidentally get something set on that, it goes into airplane mode. That doesn't work very well when you're trying to broadcast Zoom. So, you know, a few of those things. And those are things that I think will happen pretty much anywhere. As
Yeah,
much as you practice, you can still run into those simple little things. But overall, the event went really well. People who were there in person, I think 10 in person and 7 on Zoom. So it was
excellent.
actually really good.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going back and trying to find something on Instagram, and I ran. What showed up was one of our former lives, and there we are, like fumbling, trying to figure out how to get everything working, which we continue to do. However, I thought so. Here's what I thought: a couple of things. One I thought is first, how can I edit that? Doesn't really give you the ability to like edit and you know chunk off a bunch, so that wasn't there. And then I thought, okay, so if people are watching this, are they going to be like, well, this is I'm not going to listen to this, so they're going to just move on. And if that's the case, fine, I'm good with that. Like that's you know fine with me. But then I thought to myself, I'm not seeing a lot of people doing this. Like I don't
Mhm.
see a lot. I see some people go live. I see a lot of like I follow the Food Network, so I see like Sonny Anderson going live, and I see Jeff Morrow going live. Like I see celebrities going live, but I don't see like a lot of us, you and me, people like going live. And so I'm like, well, it's not perfect. Okay, what I said last week, one of my new favorite things is like start ugly. Like we're starting ugly, and so at least we're doing it. That's what I can say. So at least we're out there trying to do it, and we're starting ugly, and um, it is what it is.
Well, but the other thing that I think comes to mind for me as you say that is I'm hoping that that's maybe some encouragement for someone else who's out there watching us,
Yeah,
thinking that you have to
I
be
can do better
perfect.
than them.
Yeah, or they've avoided doing it because they think they have to be perfect. They aren't skilled enough to do it right, and I might mess up, and what will everyone think? And so instead, they're seeing us being us,
Yep.
and it may not be perfect, which is okay. And so I guess my message there is if something's been holding you back because it's I can't make it be perfect, then you know, sit, laugh with us, have a good time, and then go ugly.
Yeah, because we are. All right. Usually I have some notes on what I want to talk about. Like this is my piece of paper with notes for tonight on what we might talk about. So, I mean, I at least usually write down something, but today I didn't. But I will share. I didn't play golf today, which so two things. One, I there was a class I wanted to take, and it was today. It was an all day thing. So I decided to not play golf and take the class. And so, like, forever learner, I love to learn. This was a sales class. I teach sales. I've been in sales my whole life, but as I was telling Arlene before we started, like, you can always learn something new. And what one of the main takeaways I got from the class was continuing to fine tune my message and continuing to fine tune the kinds of things I want to bring to the world, to my world. So that was very beneficial for me. And then the other thing is yesterday, so I've been working out a lot. I've been walking a lot, trying to get off the, 10 pounds that I gained. Thank you, Mr. Pandemic. And I was at the gym yesterday, like 4 days in a row, and I started working out, and all of a sudden like my knee, the back side of my knee, so not my actually knee, but like the side of my knee started hurting. So I just kind of, modified my workout, but I couldn't walk like last night. And so I've been icing it all day. And so it's just and I would have gone and played golf today, and I would have walked, 9 holes and 3 miles or 4 miles or whatever it is, and probably wouldn't have been the best thing for me. So the universe sometimes delivers what you need when you need it. And today it was for me to just sit on the Chase Lounge all day with my foot up, and I iced it every hour, and I learned some new things. So that was my day. And now I've got a little cocktail, so I just poured myself a glass of wine. So we're ready to welcome in the weekend.
Yes, yes, I like that. Well, and as you're talking, I think we had a really good conversation yesterday that started off with what's our intention?
Yeah.
And so, it's easy to get started doing things and not be absolutely clear on why you're doing that.
Yeah.
And it's, in my case, I thought it was a great idea. I, love just chatting, but, what was the purpose? What was the intention other than, ultimately reality is we're in business, and therefore we desire to be able to serve more through customer support. So obviously that's a piece of the puzzle, but more, digging down a little deeper into that conversation, what exactly, and it was one that you and I hadn't specifically had the conversation of why, you had a reason in your mind, and I had a little bit of a different reason in mind, but it's being intentional, whatever you're doing.
Absolutely.
And so that, I think, was a part of what led to a pretty cool conversation that led into I think you're going to like do another class soon, and some other kinds of stuff that came as a result of a conversation that started out what's the intention, and then looking at, well, what's the need. And I'm guessing maybe you even got some tips today on how you fine tune that messaging.
Exactly.
And ready to start delivering another class, a workshop that allows people to step into the next level on, in this case, I think it's email marketing.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I like that because, as you're saying, I'm thinking there are so many, I'll just use social media as a perfect example. There's so many places and things to do in social media, and sometimes we just go out and we do them, but we don't really know why we're doing them. We don't know what we want to get out of them. We're just doing them, right? And I think we all can say that we're guilty of that. But to say, okay, I'm going to go on Instagram, and I'm going to go on Instagram to get followers that will go over to get one of my free things, then I get them on my email list, and then I engage them in a conversation that hopefully we can identify a way that I can help them, you can identify a way you can help them, and it's mutually beneficial. And I just think I love that. It's important because we don't talk about it enough of why we do what we do.
Yeah, exactly. And, as you were talking, it is the reminder that everyone says I need to go do this, so I'm going to go do it.
Right.
Well, Okay, if you're just doing it because everybody says you need to do it, and you haven't set your expectation and your intention, then you're going to do it. And maybe you'll get lucky and fall into something that
Right.
actually works. But more likely, you're going to do it and then find out that, you've invested a whole bunch of time. It didn't really yield you much results. And so then stepping back. And so part of what you were talking about, even, is really a clear understanding of what is your customer journey. Your customer journey is they're going to find you on Instagram. They're going to
Right.
go in and hit your funnel. They're going to get your emails. They're going to, come maybe get your next class, whatever. But you've described what's your intended expectation of each step along the way.
Yeah.
And I know as we were talking yesterday, uh, talking a little bit about one of the upcoming courses, that workshop I'm doing on the 2nd of September is about virtual events. And all of that starts with, what's your expectation on the tail end? Begin with the end in mind. So as you're starting any course, what's your next step in the journey for someone? How do you help them go to the next level? Because you help them as best you can within the confines of what you're teaching right there. And then at the end, you offer them the next opportunity to go into the next level of training that they're now prepared for.
Yeah.
If they didn't get the foundation first, then they're not really ready for the next thing. So learn the foundation, know what their very next step is. And so that was a part of our conversation that helped to even bring about some clarity on, how you even maybe look at that course.
Yeah. Well, and I ask clients all the time. I mean, in anything,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to the gym, if you go to the gym every day, what are you trying to accomplish?
Right.
And if you just go every day because you think you should go every day, but you're not trying to strengthen or whatever it is, train for something, you just go and willy-nilly do it. One, like, I love the question of how will you know if you're successful if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
any intention or you don't have any goals for what
Right.
you want to accomplish? How will you ever know if you're successful?
Yeah.
And that goes with all of it. And I think even for those of us who have been doing this a long time, and we have our funnel, we have
Right.
our we have our marketing plan, we have all of that, but if you're not constantly reevaluating it, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not constantly, one of the things that I've learned certainly through the podcast, when I first started the podcast, I didn't think, what do my listeners want to hear? Because I didn't, well, first I didn't have any listeners. But once you got some, podcasting is a very interesting medium because it's not an interactive medium
Mm-hmm.
with your listeners. You have no idea who they are, where they're listening, and any of that. And so at the beginning, you just kind of throw the stuff out there. And then the concept of engaging with your listeners and providing them what they want was like, oh, that's a, a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? Right. And I
Right.
just think it's true of all of it. Like, if you don't have you don't know where you're going, then you'll never get there. You'll just be floating around, and you won't know if you're successful if you don't kind of have some kind of an intention of where you want to go.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I'm reminded of as you were talking is the old saying of what gets measured gets done. And so that goes with your goals. If you're
Yeah.
measuring, I'm going to the gym 3 days a week and I'm going to do cardio this many times, and my expectation is that I'm going to build muscle, but I'm also going to lose fat. And if your goal is to lose weight, whatever it is, having something very specific allows you to be able to measure that and then be able to see success or not. And when you don't see success, you know that you need to shift things up.
Yeah.
That's your opportunity to start looking for, okay, well, that's not working. Why is that not working? And your new opportunity to then make a change and then start seeing whether that change starts yielding you the results you were hoping
Yeah.
for.
Well, the other component that was so compelling and useful for me in our conversation yesterday was talking it out with somebody else. Like, we
Mm,
can do all these things in a vacuum,
yeah.
but to sit down and actually talk it out with somebody else, gives you insights of, even if you don't respond to me with something that helps me, sometimes just talking it out
Yeah.
just out loud with another person. I mean, you were very helpful yesterday, but just sometimes just talking it out with somebody is really, really beneficial, because we so many times just do all of these things in a vacuum by ourselves. And as entrepreneurs, we're really, really bad at that, because we like to do everything by ourselves.
Right.
And so I just think you just go have a conversation with somebody, even if like I didn't have a question. Like, it wasn't like I went to you and said, this is what I'm contemplating, let me talk it out. It was just like we had a chance to have a conversation, and that's where the conversation led. And we both started talking some things out, and I just think that's really useful. So like that message is hang out with as many entrepreneurs as you can and have those conversations, because you never
Right.
know what's going to come out of those conversations. Always
Yeah.
something good's going to come out of those conversations.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, our clubhouse that was supposed to be an hour was an hour and a half,
Yeah.
but for me, it was an hour and a half well spent,
Yeah.
because I think we covered some really important topics. And, if there were others who wanted to join that conversation, when we go live on Clubhouse, they can come join that conversation as
Yeah.
well. We'd love to have more of them hanging out with us, but it still was that opportunity to stretch ourselves in that conversation. And I think that sometimes we as entrepreneurs can get into that trap of feeling like we've got to have all the answers for our own business. So I'm embarrassed to have that conversation with
Yeah.
someone else, because they may see that I don't have all my answers, and what will they think of me? When in reality, one of the best, strongest things you can do is ask for insight from someone else, ask for help from someone else. So
Yeah.
I think that that's the other part that was pretty cool about our conversation
Yeah.
yesterday.
And I couldn't agree with you more. One of the things that I'm continuously striving to do is embrace my vulnerability,
Hmm.
and my willingness to ask for help,
Right.
because we weren't brought up that way. We
Right.
weren't brought up to ask for help. I mean, my
Hmm.
dad was like, "Gut it out, man, gut it out, stiff upper lip, just keep going." Like,
Yeah.
that's the message that I grew up with. And being a coach, and I've been a coach since '05, so 16 years of being a
Hmm.
coach and coaching all the people I've coached. I think in my mind, people expect me to know all the answers. And I can tell
Right.
you right now, I don't know all the answers. And I'm okay to say I don't know all the answers, right? I
Hmm.
know a lot of stuff, but I don't know all the answers. And I'm not, at the peak of what anybody could do or be as a coach. I'm still working on myself like everybody else. And to be able to just state and live in that vulnerability, and that that is what it is, and just to be proud of that, and to
Hmm.
be able to just live in that is a really good place to be, because one, well, I just think it makes you more relatable.
It does. And the other part of that is it gives the other person permission to not have to be perfect and have all
Yeah.
the answers too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that that's a powerful message, especially as coaches. It's really easy to have people think that they aspire to be like a coach because they've got all the answers.
Yeah.
And so I think that it gives people the permission not to be perfect, not to
Mhm.
have all the answers, and to know that that's okay. Now, can you go find the answers? Can you get there? Are there resources out there? And I am reminded of Henry Ford, who was thought to be ignorant because he had an eighth grade education, and they asked him some questions, and he didn't know the answer, but he knew who to ask. And so he surrounded himself with a team that knew the answers. He
Yep.
didn't need that. And so it's a reminder that we don't have to have all the answers. We need to
Well,
know
and
tools.
I would rather have a team of people who knew the answers than for me to know all the answers.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure, I'd absolutely say that. The other thing that you said, which I thought was interesting, and I wanted to bring back the focus to, is so as a coach, and the coaching and client relationship, and I've had a lot of those because I've coached over 1,000 people. The specifics, which just jogged my memory when you were talking a minute ago, of clients who wouldn't show up because they hadn't done the work.
Hmm.
And because you just mentioned, like, some of us, we don't want to admit that we don't know, or
Right.
and I can't tell you how many clients have said, I'm not going to show up, or I'm going to cancel our call because I haven't done anything since the last call.
Hmm.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the most important time
Right.
to show up on a call, because then we can talk about, not about why you didn't show up, because then that's not helpful unless it's helpful. It's, what do you need to do to show up next time? What do you need to do
Hmm.
between now and our next call to
Hmm.
show up and do the work? Like, this isn't about shaming you for what you didn't do.
Right.
Like I said, it's only important if understanding why you didn't helps understand how you will.
Right.
But to me, it just always befuddled me that clients would not show up because they hadn't done the work. Like, and I'm like, I'm not your teacher. I don't give out gold stars.
Hmm.
Like, it's not about me saying, "Good job, Erlene. You
Right.
did it." Like, that is not that's not the role that I play. I have no
Hmm.
interest in playing that role. My role is to support you and to encourage you and to help you figure it out when you can't figure it out, and to praise and celebrate when you do.
Right.
And so anyway, I could go on and on and on about it, because for years and years and years and years, I have never understood why clients don't show up when they don't do the work.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really easy to get, and the old saying, don't shit all over yourself. I should have done this. And so maybe they even did a little bit of the work. They can't even celebrate that little bit because I didn't do it all.
Yeah, and we
And
focus on what we didn't do more. We talked about that um,
yeah,
whenever recently, like we
yeah,
talked. Yeah,
exactly. So that's, and I know that one of the things that I have gotten more in the habit of is starting out with, what are some of the things you can celebrate?
yeah.
Let's talk about the wins. What are things? Have you learned things about yourself? There's, a whole variety of questions that I actually do for another program I'm working with. And, one of the first questions is, what did you learn about yourself this week? And sometimes it's a question that's really hard to answer. Other times I learned that I still haven't dealt with this other issue, and it's resurfacing again, that's holding me back in these other areas. And so it's just an interesting process, but where you can think about it from, what did you learn about yourself this week? What can you celebrate? What are some of the amazing things you did accomplish? And, for some people, it could be that they got out of bed,
Yeah.
but in some cases, that can be a huge
That's a happy day.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that sometimes those wins don't have to be these monumental, exciting things. It can be a very mundane. I successfully got up by the time I desired to every morning this week, and you can celebrate that. I, didn't hit the snooze on my clock. I went to bed on time. Whatever it might be. And so sometimes it's really easy to, again, focus on all of those other things and not the things you actually did accomplish. What new things did you learn or do this week that you can be celebrating?
Okay, so I wrote that down. So now I have one thing on my sheet. So maybe next week, like maybe every week, we'll like say what. So this is what I thought of. Maybe this will be one of our recurring things, and we get together. We're like, what did you learn about yourself this week? And then for some reason, what popped into my head was how I hate the question, what did I learn this week? I learned that I hate that question, but no, I don't hate that question. But that just popped in my head because sometimes I have a very quirky sense of humor. So there you go.
Yeah. But then again, sometimes you don't really want to know the answer to that question because you really don't want to think about that one.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, well, I am the first person to not not be the first thing that comes across my mind is what can I celebrate? Like I'm I'm just more about like what did I accomplish? I'm a challenge person. Like that just is how my mind thinks. However, I will say, like, I get on all these Zoom calls. We've been doing a lot of that networking in the last year and a half. And sometimes, like, it's a group of people that you know, and you'll get on there, and they'll say, what was your win this week, or what. And I am always the first freaking person to raise my hand because I'm always happy to talk. But I always can come up with something that was a
Mhm.
win. I don't really think about it if I'm not asked about it.
Mhm.
But when I'm asked about it, I can always come up with a gazillion things that are a win for me. Even if it's I walked every day this week, or I got my 10,000 steps in, or like whatever. The dogs didn't expire because I fed them every day. No, I usually am a little higher bar than that, but I can always come up with a win. Like
Right.
and it's but I am absolutely copping to. I'm one of those people that's when I'm talking to myself. That's not the first question
Mhm.
that I that I ask, or that's not the first thing I think about.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And it becomes it's one of those that's powerful when you get in that habit.
All right, so what did you learn about yourself this week, Erlene?
Um, I haven't had to do that report yet. I hadn't stepped back to think about it.
I'll go first if you want a little bit of time to think about it.
Sure, go ahead.
So, I learned that while I am consider myself somewhat of an expert in sales, I still have a lot to learn
Hmm.
about sales. And substitute anything for those two words. I think I know a lot about email marketing, but there's a whole lot more I can learn about email marketing. I think there's a lot I know about how to care for my two lovely dogs, but I could never love them. I mean, there's always ways to love them more. Like there's a million ways you can turn that.
Hmm.
But so that's mine for this week. For today, probably. I don't know if that's the whole week, but it came up
Yeah.
because you mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I will say for me this week, I think it was an awareness around uh, as I start doing things, whatever they might be, stepping back and asking the question of why.
Hmm.
What is my intention for doing that thing, whatever it is? And if there isn't a solid reason, then find one or don't do it,
Yeah.
as opposed to just automatically it's
Yep.
like, okay, yeah, this is a great idea. So I think that that was the one that came up for me as I think about this week, is that it's easy to go do things because, and fill in the blank, and never really have a clear expectation of why.
That's perfect. I love that. Because I think we all fall into it, I think we well, speaking for myself, I think I fell into that more over the course, especially the beginning of 2020 when this whole pandemic and we got shut down. I think it was a lot of doing
Mm-hmm.
without really without thinking about what am I trying to get out of it, because so many things were so new and
Right.
I didn't really know what I was going to get out of it, and I didn't have anything else to do because I couldn't leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
So why not spend your day in front of the Zoom camera with
Right.
all sorts. So I mean, there is a time to kind of do that, but I think that's just great wisdom, and not just in business, in anything.
Anything. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think we all spend a lot of time, or at least used to, and we'll probably get right back to spending time doing things we don't really want to do or
Mm-hmm.
doesn't serve us
Right.
because we think we should outside of the business environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah,
that's just continuing to ask the question. And
I love.
is there a reason?
Yeah,
It's a
good.
purpose.
Why
What's
am
the
I doing
intent?
this?
It's fun, but is there anything, and sometimes just because it is fun maybe can be a reason, but
Yeah.
it all depends on what it is. And getting back to, as you start getting a really busy calendar, and what on that calendar are you doing just because, as opposed to it having a purpose as well.
Yeah.
And
So I want to dig just a teeny bit deeper on that, because I'm thinking about the things that I'm doing that are out of my comfort zone. I've talked a
mm,
bit about it on the podcast. We talked about it here. I'm doing a Zoom part. We're doing a Zoom thing twice a month. I'm doing video. We're doing these live things. And sometimes we have a reason for doing these. Like
Mhm.
we want to engage with more people, and we want to get out there, and we want to create content and all of that. But sometimes when we're doing things that we really don't know yet, um, what it's going to produce, or how we're going to utilize it, sometimes it's just doing it to do it. Like, I think video is one of those, like, do it to do it. Like, get out on
Yeah.
Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are and do it to do it. Like, we're doing this. We don't
Hmm.
have a whole lot of people joining us. We don't but we're just doing it because we're just trying to figure out what we're doing and how to do it and how to best utilize it and what people want and what, and so sometimes when it's something that's brand new, doing it to do it is why we do it, and then we kind of hope that it all falls into place, and we're like, oh yeah, that's why we did it.
Yeah, well, and I think video is a great example of one of those that you can show up, and the more regularly and frequently you do show up, then you become people in the end do business with those they know, like, and trust.
That's
The
right.
more they see you showing up in crazy places, they see you doing crazy things, or, being, just authentic and vulnerable and sharing, those more scary things to share, then that makes you far more relatable, and that's where you're starting to build those relationships. And so I think that that's the other really important part as you talk about video, especially.
Well, and I'll just give a shout out to my buddy Adam. So Adam's joined us. And he's the guy who's pushed me to do a lot of this stuff. So he's a podcasting buddy of mine. And oh, he's not hearing you.
Oh,
Anyway, I'm just gonna say, like, Adam has been like awesome in driving me to do some of these lives, and he's got me doing Instagram reels, and it's just hanging out with people who are doing stuff that are pushing you to do stuff that gets you out of your comfort zone is an awesome thing.
yeah. Well, I'm wondering if he's hearing me now, because I realized that I put my headset on or in so that I didn't get the feedback of my phone that doesn't stay muted, and having it go on, since we're trying to do the Facebook as well as the Instagram all together. So I
I
will
guess he can hear
see.
you now. So, which okay, so we'll go back to where we started this conversation. Like, we're just doing this, technical difficulties. We're just gonna keep at it. So, all right. So, Arlene, give me your, like, what are you up to this weekend? What fun, awesome things are you gonna be doing this weekend?
Actually, I'm attending someone else's workshop that is all around messaging and on Saturday. So that's one of the things I've got going on this weekend. Beyond that, I don't know. I am sure I'm going to get outside at some. Well, no, actually, this weekend we're supposed to have like the torrential rains coming through because we've got the hurricane that's kind of working its way up the other side of the coast, but it'll dump a lot of rain in our area. So at least last I knew, that's so it may be a quieter inside weekend as opposed to one being outside.
Awesome. Let's see. I'm gonna play a little golf. I'm gonna get out on the range because I have not playing so well. So I'm gonna get out there on the range, and then you know what? It's really interesting because I was the one who fought like video, and I fought all this social media stuff. I was like, I don't want to do any of that stuff, and now I'm kind of getting a little addicted to it. So I have some podcast episodes that I want to. I'm going to do some editing, and I'm going to create some sound bites, and I'm going to do some video, and so I'm going to spend some time tomorrow just playing with this whole video social media, like, I got this buddy, Adam, who's got the podcasting business school, and man, you should see what he does on Instagram. So I'm just trying to like do 1/10 of what he does. So I'm going to play on Instagram, and I'm going to play with video, and I'm going to play with my podcast, and amongst doing some golf and playing in the garden and going to playing in the swimming in my friend's pool and just having a
Nice.
kind of a cool relaxing weekend. Hey, Adam, what are you doing this weekend? See if Adam will respond to us.
Yeah.
Well, he's always got fun, cool stuff going on. So, all right. Well, anything else you want to share before we run off this evening? Look, I haven't even finished my glass of wine, and I'm like halfway through it. So we're doing
Yeah.
a
And
little bit more talking than drinking this week.
and I didn't even have one poured. So
Oh, geez, come on, Arlene.
I know. I know.
All right, darling. Well, thanks for joining me again, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, same time.
Sounds good.
All right.
Have a
Love you.
great week. Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Hold
Bye.
on. I gotta.
Oh, that was
Hold on. I gotta stop this guy.